Kitchen Stewardship fans. Katie Kimball here today, and we're going to talk about a very pertinent subject here in the midst of this world crisis we find ourselves in. We're going to talk about how to shift our stress. I'm so honored to be here with Jodi Cohen. She's a mom who knows what being stressed out feels like. She's the founder of Vibrant Blue Essential Oils and the author of the upcoming book, Essential Oils to Boost the Brain and Heal the Body. And she has a ton of resources on how to shift our stress and figure out how to find the calm and peace that we need in the day. Thanks so much for being here, Jodi.
Oh my God, thank you for having me.
I think this is going to be really helpful for moms, and we'll just chat for, 5 or 10 minutes. And then the coolest thing is that Jodi has a free bonus chapter to part of her book, part of the Boost the Brain book, and it's all about the vagus nerve. So that's what we're going to science geek out a little bit on the vagus nerve today. So help us out for those of us who don't even know that term. What is the vagus nerve and how does it impact the brain?
The vagus nerve is actually the longest nerve in your body that most people don't know about. And what's really cool is it's your internal gear shift for those moments like, most of us have been driving and someone cuts us off in traffic. And for whatever reason, we're okay. Like maybe they're in a hurry, it doesn't bother us. The next day, the same thing happens and the four-letter words are falling out of our mouth. And the only difference in that moment is kind of how resilient you are.
Mm.
So when you think you're in danger, when you're trying to make a deadline and your husband needs help finding his keys and the dog is barking and your child is pulling at your leg because they're hungry and there are all these external things going on, you can feel really stressed. You can feel really out of control, really overwhelmed, and you probably can't change that. No matter where you put your husband's stuff, he's still going to lose it. Sadly, you can't just feed your kids on Monday and not remember to feed them the rest of the week. It's just going to happen. But you can always control kind of how calm you feel in that moment and how you choose to say, like, all right, I will still make the deadline. Here are your keys. Let's make you a sandwich. Here, you sit right here while we finish. You can really kind of take control of your own stress level in that moment. And that is by tapping into the branch of the nervous system that helps you calm down.
Okay.
It's called your parasympathetic nervous system. What's interesting, nervous system sounds really geeky, but it's basically your body's operating system, right? It makes sure that the right resources are allocated at the right time. And when you're under stress, it allocates resources differently. And it kind of turns off your ability to feel calm and feel safe. And so this gear shift, this vagus nerve, is what you can kind of manually use to get you back into that feeling calm space. And the way you do that, just a quick anatomy lesson since we're geeking out, it starts at the back of the head, splits, winds, and is most accessible kind of if you feel right behind your ear,
Okay.
you're going to feel a bone. That is your mastoid bone. Even just rubbing it kind of helps calm your stress. It helps you shift gears. And then it kind of winds through your throat. So smiling helps, your
Oh.
lungs, deep breathing helps, your heart, your digestion, your elimination. And it is the highway between your gut and your brain. It helps to turn on all the healthy function of those organs. And anytime you activate it, it helps you to feel more calm, like deep breathing.
Mm.
You can also do things like tongue depressor, gagging yourself, that activates it, freezing water on your face. But the ritual that I like the best, I have been using a combination of clove and lime essential oil because it's really stimulatory, has super small molecules, and I literally just apply it right there on that bone, and it is my gear shift out of stress. Before we got on this call, I knew I had to get on. My daughter was having a rough day homeschooling. I'm like, all right, I have time to make you lunch. It's all going to work out, because when you feel calm, it's kind of like when, if you have that friend that's always frenzied and every time you're with them, you like feel like you're going to be losing your brain, you lose your head if it wasn't attached. And then you have the friend that like, they're the ones you call when you're having a hard day because they always make you feel better. They're always so calm.
Mm.
This is just a ritual that even if your friend isn't picking up, you can just put this on your ear. This gift that I'm sharing at boostthebrainbook.com/gift, 25 ways. You only need to pick one, because the more things we can do kind of at home in the heat of the moment to help us really calm down, the better we can show up for everyone.
So true. So true. We got to fill our tank, right? We can't be so depleted. So now the title of your book talks about healing to boost the brain and heal the body. So let's talk a little bit about how essential oils in particular can actually impact healing. And I'm so curious if this is physical, mental, or both.
It's both, and emotional. And what's
Hmm.
interesting, so my first rock bottom, my we're not married anymore, but my husband at the time was severely bipolar and attempted suicide. And I had to move him into a residential treatment facility. And once I knew he was safe and it wasn't my job to keep him alive, it was like I completely ran out of gas.
Wow.
Which, the kids were 5 and 7. I had a full-time job. I was class parent. I had all these things that were going on, and I was doing my best to you know, take the right supplements, the right adaptogenic herbs. Nothing worked.
Mm.
And so luckily a good friend came over with a gift of essential oils and said, when you're chronically stressed, you release cortisol, which leads to chronic inflammation. I bet that you are so inflamed and your gut is such toast that nothing you're ingesting is actually getting into your body. But oils work through the sense of smell and through your skin. It's like a backdoor into your bloodstream.
Mm.
So that might help. And I was so intrigued. I thought, well, that makes sense to me. I can go with that.
Mhm.
So I started using them like for stress, for overwhelm, for sleep, for energy, and started to feel better pretty quickly.
Wow.
And then when I got better, I started doing a deep dive in research and really figured out, people say like, oh, there's an oil for everything. I don't look at it that way. If your kid breaks his arm, go to the ER, get it set in a cast. That is not the time for oils. But
Sure.
I do think there are 5 key areas. When I started working with people, they would come to me with these huge file folders and, oh, I'm so complicated, no one can help me. And I started to realize that there were really 5 systems of the body that were most often out of balance.
Okay.
That once you got them back in balance, everything felt better. And those 5 systems happen to lend themselves especially well to oils, because they were things like, accessing the brain, which you can do through inhalation, or, drainage, making sure that once kind of toxins and waste was mobilized, it leaves the body.
Mm.
Also something that oils help to do in plants, they help to move fluid. And the fact that it's hard to get remedies, the big bottleneck in the body is the neck, right? Because toxins are draining from the brain and they have to go through the neck before they can leave the body.
Okay.
And the neck has a lot going on. It's got the structure, the nerves, the muscles, the lymph, the vascular system. I think of it, if you've ever been in the middle seat in an airplane
Hmm.
next to 2 linebackers, like, it's like trying to get the armrest. Like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So the more you can open up space and move congestion, the more everything, all the good things like the blood and the oxygen can get into the brain, and all of the garbage, the metabolic waste, any metals or toxins can get out. Sleep is really important. Oils are great for supporting sleep, also in kids. Uh, and then energy and helping your immune system just not overactivate or underactivate.
I love that you talked about that back door. I have honestly never heard that explanation before about how, sure, if you have leaky gut and, loose junctures and everything, and your gut is not being your friend, your gut is not playing on the right team, anything you put in your mouth might not be helping you.
Yeah, I
How
know. And we don't
fascinating.
really think about it. Like, yeah, the skin is actually our largest organ,
Hmm.
and anything you put on it gets into your bloodstream in 20 minutes. So, this is why hormone creams, nicotine patches work really well. Or even if for a kid, Epsom salt baths.
Sure.
Like that's the best way if you're if if you're having that day and you just need to shift the energy. For adults, it's 2 cups of Epsom salt, 1 cup of baking soda, and then I use like 3 drops of lavender and actually use the bathtub as a mixing bowl. I mix the
Okay.
lavender into the salt before adding the water. So the
Oh,
water,
okay.
so it doesn't float on top. And you would cut that in half for younger kids. But what's great is that, the warm water kind of opens the pores. The Epsom salt is really magnesium, which is relaxing. It carries it into the system and it carries the lavender in that way as well. So it's like full body relaxation.
Mm.
Good for you too. If you are, if you're considering day drinking, try an Epsom salt bath instead.
Well, this has been incredibly practical, and I'm sure your whole book is like this, is these practical strategies, great analogies that just help our brains latch onto these ideas and understand them. Like, oh, yes, okay, this is how it works. You're such a fabulous, explainer and writer, and I'm really excited to get people's hands on your book. It's going to be so good. So the free gift is at boostthebrainbook.com/gift, and that's a bonus chapter. Is that in the book, or it's like literally a bonus chapter
It's a
outside the book?
bonus chapter. I am that overachiever. They kept having me cut and cut and cut. So this was something that didn't make it into the book, but I wanted to make sure people had it because it felt valuable.
Nice. And it's so good. And I've heard tons of information on the vagus nerve. Literally, again, no one has ever told me where it goes and why things in the throat, like the gagging and the singing operatically and stuff, like actually activate the vagus nerve. So my science geek brain is satiated. I know that's going to be good for my physical and mental health. Thank you so much, Jodi Cohen. We're going to send lots of people your way to get help.
Thank you. And it's great for moms, it's great for dads, it's really
Mm.
good for kids, especially anyone that has anxiety.
And that's so good to know too. Like any remedy, any technique that can help the entire family, right? We learn it once for everyone.
Yeah.
Really, really helpful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Yes, thank you too, Jodi. It's been fascinating and I'm honored to have your time today.